Because this is not just another speech. This is a revelation, a call to those who are tired of being ruled by chaos, a call to those who are ready to rise not with noise, not with rage, but with power wrapped in silence. Because in a world addicted to noise, calmness is rebellion. And the one who learns to be calm becomes untouchable. You've been told that being calm is being passive. They lied to you. Calmness is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the weapon of those who no longer wish to react, but to command. You see, anyone can panic, anyone can shout, anyone can fight without thinking. But it takes a higher mind to be still. It takes a warrior's soul to keep peace when everything around you is screaming war. The ones who shift history aren't the loudest. They are the most stable. They don't panic, they position. They don't react, they respond. They don't collapse, they calculate. And today you're going to learn how to be one of them. This message isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who are tired of being emotionally hijacked. It's for the ones who want to stop surviving the storm and start controlling the weather. It's for the ones who are ready to walk into rooms and shift atmospheres without raising their voice. Because the next level of your life won't be unlocked by how loud you are, but by how calm you remain. So stay with me. Don't scroll, don't scroll, don't skip. Because by the end of this message, you will understand why the calmest one in the room is always the most dangerous. Let's begin. They told you silence means surrender. That if you're quiet, you're weak. That if you don't respond, you're being walked over. But let me open your eyes today, because the world has it backwards. Silence is not surrender. Silence is power under control. Silence is the chosen weapon of those who no longer fight just to be seen, but fight to win without being noticed. Because when you speak too soon, when you react too fast, you give away your position. But when you are calm, when you stay quiet in the heat of confusion, you force the world to guess. And there is no power greater than the unknown. In every battlefield, the loudest are not the most dangerous. The ones shouting are often trying to convince themselves they have strength. But the real strength, it's in the one who says nothing and watches everything. The one who doesn't flinch, doesn't stutter, doesn't move unless necessary. That's the one everyone fears, because they don't know what he's thinking. And that mystery becomes strength. That silence becomes a shield and a sword. You still need to respond to everything. You don't need to prove yourself to everyone. Every reaction is a leak in your energy. Every unnecessary argument is a theft of your peace. Some of you are exhausted not because life is hard, but because you're too loud in battles that require silence. You're burning your fire in places where you should be observing. You're giving explanations to people who've already made up their minds about you. You're defending yourself to those who don't deserve your voice. But listen, power doesn't shout. Power doesn't panic. Power doesn't over-explain. Power calculates. It observes. It moves when the moment is right, and not a second before. That's what calmness gives you. Leverage. It creates space between impulse and action, between pressure and purpose. And in that space, you gain dominion over yourself, over your decisions, over your destiny. When they try to provoke you, they want you to lose your calm. When they insult you, they want to control your reaction. When they spread lies, they want to pull you into their chaos. But when you remain still, when you smile in the face of confusion, when you walk past insult like it never touched your spirit, they panic. They thought they had power over your emotions. But now they realize you are unshakable. And there's nothing more threatening than a soul that cannot be stirred by foolishness. You have to understand the game. If the wind can move you, you're not rooted. If words can break you, you're not solid. If chaos can distract you, then you're not yet ready. But once you train yourself to remain still in the noise, to pause instead of panic, to breathe instead of burst, that's when calmness begins to rise from within you like a shield that nothing can penetrate. And let me tell you, once you develop that, the world changes. Not because the world got better, but because you became stronger. The problems don't disappear. The critics don't go silent. The pressure doesn't vanish. But you move differently. You see clearer. You choose wiser. You don't fold when it gets hot. You adapt. You don't run from the chaos. You operate within it. You become like a sniper in the middle of a war. Focused, precise, unbothered. It's in the chaos where your patience is tested. It's in the chaos where your tongue learns discipline. It's in the chaos where your faith either collapses or becomes unshakable. So stop cursing the season you're in. Stop trying to escape it. Start using it. Let the storm teach you what silence never could. Let the instability refine your mind. Let the pressure sharpen your clarity. Because the world doesn't need more loud voices. It needs more calm spirits. More people who have walked through fire and didn't come out screaming, but came out glowing. More leaders who don't lose control when everything else does. More warriors who can wait, who can watch, who can strike with wisdom instead of emotion. You become that not by accident, but by facing chaos and refusing to let it change who you are. The calm you're looking for will not come when everything is fixed. It will come when you learn to be unmoved while everything is still broken. That's when you'll know you've developed calmness as a strength that you cannot lead if you're always led by your emotions. You cannot build anything that lasts if every time something shakes you, you fall apart. Emotional control is not an option. It's a necessity. And if you ever want to access the kind of power that changes lives, transforms environments, and walks with authority, then you must master the battlefield within. Because that's the real war, not outside. Inside. Most people are not defeated by life. They're defeated by their reactions to life. It's not the storm that destroys them, it's the panic. It's not the betrayal that breaks them, it's the bitterness they let grow from it. It's not the failure that crushes them, it's the shame they attach to it. You must understand that your emotions are real, but they are not always right. They are loud, but not always true. They speak, but they don't always speak wisdom. And until you learn to separate what you feel from how you move, you will always be a slave to instability. You think strength is about force, about domination, about being louder than your pain? No. Strength is being able to carry pain without letting it speak for you. It's being able to cry in silence and still lead in clarity. It's being able to feel the anger and still respond in peace. That's mastery. That's leadership. That's wisdom. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one who feels nothing. It's the one who feels deeply but moves with discipline. Because they are not numb, they are trained, they don't react, they calculate. They don't explode, they wait. They don't let emotions hijack their decisions. And that's what separates them from the crowd. That's what gives them an edge that others can't fake. Because the world is full of people who know how to talk, how to shout, how to make noise, but few know how to hold themselves together when everything is falling apart inside. There will be moments when everything in you wants to lash out. When every word they said, every action they took, every injustice you experienced wants to ignite your rage. And in that moment, you'll feel justified to respond in emotion. But hear me, just because you have the right to react doesn't mean it's the right move. Emotion may satisfy you for a second, but it will cost you long-term peace. And the one who controls you emotionally owns you. Let me tell you why emotional control is power. Because the enemy doesn't have to destroy you if he can manipulate you. All he needs to do is press the right button, and you self-destruct. All he needs to do is whisper one lie, and you quit. All he needs to do is remind you of your pain, and you abandon your purpose. But when you learn to regulate your inner world, when you develop emotional discipline, he loses access. The weapons may still form, but they won't prosper. Not because they're weak, but because you are stronger on the inside than what's attacking you from the outside. You have to become the kind of person who doesn't speak out of pressure, who doesn't choose out of fear, who doesn't act out of impulse. Let your mind lead your emotion, not the other way around. Let your purpose filter your reaction. Learn how to pause before responding. Learn how to think even while your heart is breaking. That's what separates warriors from wanderers. That's what separates leaders from followers. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can cry. Anyone can complain. But very few can carry the weight of those emotions and still speak with clarity and move with wisdom. And don't misunderstand, emotional control doesn't mean you suppress your pain. It means you process it with maturity. It means you allow your feelings to pass through you, not rule over you. You cry, but you don't drown. You hurt, but you don't halt. You bleed, but you don't lose your voice. The mature don't deny their feelings, they dominate them. That's the level you must reach. Because the higher you go, the more emotional intelligence you'll need. The more responsibility you carry, the more dangerous your reactions become. Your silence becomes strategy. Your pause becomes power. Your discipline becomes protection. Not just for you, but for what you're called to build. So train yourself. Train yourself to feel without folding. Train yourself to endure without erupting. Train yourself to face pressure without panic, because the one who governs his emotions is the one who governs outcomes. And when you master your emotions, you master your life. You can't hear the voice of clarity when your mind is loud. You can't see direction when your soul is shaking, and you won't receive the next instruction if your spirit is too agitated to listen. That's why calmness is not just a survival tool, it is a divine strategy. The kind of calm I'm speaking about is not just emotional peace, it's spiritual alignment. A silence so deep that you begin to hear what others miss. You begin to feel what others ignore. You begin to know things before they happen, not because of magic, but because your spirit is finally quiet enough to listen. Most people are too noisy internally to receive wisdom, too reactive to receive revelation. They are praying for answers but interrupting the silence that was meant to deliver them. They are chasing signs, but their spirit is cluttered with panic, fear, comparison, rage, and anxiety. And so even when the answer arrives, they miss it because they were too loud to perceive it. Let me tell you something most won't. The greatest downloads you will ever receive won't come when you're surrounded by applause. They won't come when you're in motion. They will come in stillness, in solitude, when your heart has been humbled and your spirit becomes still enough to let heaven speak. In that place, direction comes, ideas flow, discernment sharpens. You begin to understand things beyond your education. You begin to see traps before they're set. You begin to hear strategies that silence your enemies without lifting a hand. That's why calmness is more than a personality trait. It's a weapon of the spiritually alert. The calm mind becomes a receiver. It becomes a radar for purpose. The chaos outside you starts to fade, and you begin to hear what truly matters. And when others move in confusion, you move in precision. When others overreact, you respond with calculation. When others fight battles that don't matter, you are already 5 steps ahead, because you heard something they couldn't hear. In stillness, truth is revealed. Not the kind of truth people post online, not the kind you get from surface-level conversations, but the kind that exposes motives, the kind that warns you of danger, the kind that gives you an edge no one can explain. And that edge comes from silence. That edge comes from a quiet spirit. That edge comes from a quiet spirit. That edge comes when you finally stop begging for answers and start becoming still enough to receive them. But let's be honest, stillness is hard. Calmness is not easy, especially when everything around you is pressing. Especially when your heart is heavy, when the betrayal is fresh, when the pressure is increasing, when the outcome is unclear. The instinct is to move, to fix, to act. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be still. Still enough to hear your own breath. Still enough to sense the shift in the atmosphere. Still enough to feel when a door is about to close and when one is about to open. You won't find your way forward by running faster. You'll find it by slowing down enough to hear the whisper. The whisper that says, "Oh wait." The whisper that says, "Oh, move now." The whisper that says, "Not them." That whisper is everything. But most people miss it because they've trained their ears for noise, not for wisdom. This world teaches us that speed is power, that noise equals presence, that moving fast equals importance. But real power is found in those who can wait in silence, while everyone else rushes into traps. Real influence is in those who can hold their tongue while everyone else speaks too soon. Real strength is in those who can sit in stillness until the right move reveals itself. You have to become that person. The one who doesn't chase movement but attracts revelation. The one who doesn't respond out of panic, but out of precision. You'll start to notice how your intuition sharpens when your spirit is calm. You'll start to see through people, not because you're suspicious, but because stillness gives you insight. You'll feel it when something is off. You'll sense when something is not for you. And no one will understand how you knew, because they weren't calm enough to catch what you caught. Calmness is not just for your peace. It's for your positioning. It places you in alignment with what's meant for you. It draws solutions. It exposes enemies. It confirms decisions. Calmness doesn't delay your progress. It accelerates it by keeping you from making unnecessary detours. And the more you cultivate it, the more you'll notice how chaos can be happening all around you. But you're still planted, still focused, still hearing the next step, while others are distracted by the storm. The voice of destiny doesn't compete with noise. It waits for calm, so be still and listen.